TAG Heuer SA designs, manufactures and markets watches, chronographs and fashion accessories while also marketing eyewear and mobile phones manufactured under license by other companies and carrying the TAG Heuer brand name. TAG Heuer began as Uhrenmanufaktur Heuer AG, founded in 1860 by Edouard Heuer in St-Imier, Switzerland. The company was purchased by TAG Group SA in 1985, when the Heuer brand became TAG Heuer. In 1999, TAG Group sold TAG Heuer to French luxury goods conglomerate LVMH Moët Hennessy St. Louis Vuitton. The name TAG Heuer combines an abbreviation for techniques d'avant-garde and the surname Heuer. History: TAG Heuer is based in Neuchâtel, Switzerland and is led by President and CEO Jean-Christophe Babin. Jacques Heuer, the great-grandson of the founder, is the honorary chairman. TAG Heuer maintains a watchmaking workshop in Cornwall, Switzerland and a watchmaking factory in La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland. The TAG Heuer slogan is Swiss avant-garde since 1860. 1860 through 1880s, TAG Heuer traces its roots to 1860 when Edouard Heuer founded Uhrenmanufaktur Heuer AG in St-Imier, Switzerland. Edouard Heuer patented his first chronograph in 1882 and in 1887 patented an oscillating pinion still used by major watchmakers of mechanical chronographs. 1910s, in 1911, Heuer received a patent for the time of trip, the first dashboard chronograph. Designed for use in automobiles and aircraft, two large hands mounted from the center pinion indicate the time of day, as on a traditional clock. A small pair of hands, mounted at the top of the dial indicates the duration of the trip. A top-mounted crown allows the user to set the time. A button mounted in that crown operates the start/stop/reset functions of the duration of trip counter. Heuer introduced its first wrist chronograph in 1914. The crown was at the 12 o'clock position, as these first wrist chronographs were adapted from pocket chronographs. In 1916, Heuer introduced the micrograph, the first stopwatch accurate to 1/100th of a second. This model was soon followed by the semicrograph, a stopwatch that offered 1/50th of a second timing, as well as a split-second function. 1930s and 1940s. In 1933, Heuer introduced the Autavia, a dashboard timer used for automobiles and aviation. The companion Heuerview was a clock that could run for 8 days without being wound. Over the period from 1935 through the early 1940s, Heuer manufactured chronographs for pilots in the Luftwaffe, known as Flieger chronographs. The earlier version featured a hinged back case and one pusher. The later version had a snap-back case and added a second pusher. All these Flieger chronographs had 2 registers, with a capacity of 30 minutes. In the mid-1940s, Heuer expanded its line of chronographs to include both 2- and 3-register models, as well as a 3-register chronograph that included a full calendar function. As the highest development of Heuer's chronographs, these triple calendar chronographs were offered in stainless steel, 14-karat gold 18 and 22-karat gold cases. Dial colors were white, black or copper. 1950s. In the early 1950s, Heuer produced watches for the American retailer Abercrombie & Fitch. The Seafarer and Autograph were unique chronographs produced by Heuer to be sold by Abercrombie & Fitch. The Seafarers had special dials with blue, green and yellow patterns that showed the high and low tides. This dial could also be used to track the phases of the moon. Heuer produced a version of the Seafarer for sale under the Heuer name, with this model called the Mariography. The Autograph was produced in 1953 and 1954, and featured a tachymeter scale on the dial and a hand that could be preset to a specific point on the scale. This allowed a rally driver or navigator to determine whether the car was achieving the desired pace, over a measured mile. Advertisements and literature also pointed out that this hand could be rotated to count golf scores or other events. Auto dashboard timers. From 1911, Heuer manufactured timepieces to be mounted on the dashboards of automobiles, aircraft and boats. These clocks and timers included a variety of models, designed to address specific needs of racers and rallyists. In 1958, Heuer introduced a new line of dashboard timepieces, which included the Master Time, the Monte Carlo, the Super Ottavia, Sebring and Auto Rally. Heuer continued to manufacture these dashboard timepieces into the 1980s, at which time they were discontinued. Heuer also introduced timing devices for ski and motor racing events, including Formula One, 1960s. From the 1950s to the 1970s, Heuers were popular watches among automobile racers, both professionals and amateurs. Heuer was a leading producer of stopwatches and timing equipment, based on the volume of its sales, so it was only natural that racers, their crews and event sponsors began to wear Heuer's chronographs. Special versions of Heuer chronographs were produced with logos of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as well as the names or logos of racing teams or sponsors. In 1962, Heuer became the first Swiss watchmaker in space. John Glenn wore a Heuer stopwatch when he piloted the Mercury Atlas 6 spacecraft on the first U.S. manned spaceflight to orbit the Earth. This stopwatch was the backup clock for the mission and was started manually by Glenn 20 seconds into the flight. It is currently on display at the San Diego Air and Space Museum. The Ottavia chronograph was introduced in 1962 and featured a rotating bezel, marked in either hours, minutes, decimal minutes or with a tachymeter scale. All manual wind Ottavias from the 1960s had a black dial, with white registers. Early cases had a screwback and later models had snapbacks. The Ottavia name had previously been used on Heuer's dashboard timers. The Carrera chronograph, designed by Jack Heuer, was introduced in 1963. The Carrera had a very simple design, with only the registers and applied markers on the dial. The fixed inner bezel is divided into 1/5 second increments. The 1960s Carreras were available with a variety of dials, including all white, all black, white registers on a black dial, and black registers on a black dial. A 3-register, triple calendar version of the Carrera was introduced around 1968. Most of Heuer chronographs from this period are Euro, including the Ottavias and Carreras are Euro-used movements manufactured by Valjoux, including the Valjoux 72 movement and the Valjoux 92 movement. The Valjoux 72 movement utilized a tri-compax design, with 3 registers on the dial, a Euro 1 register for the chronograph hours, 1 register for the chronograph minutes, and a 3rd register for a continuously running second hand. The second hand for the chronograph was mounted on the center pinion, along with the time of day hands. Heuer acquired the Leonidas brand in the early 1960s, with the combined company marketing watches under the Heuer Leonidas name. One of the designs that Heuer acquired from Leonidas was the Bundeswehr chronograph, used by the German Air Force. These BWs feature a flyback mechanism, so that when the chronograph is reset to 0, it immediately begins running again, to time the next segment or event. Automatic chronographs. In the mid-1960s, Heuer partnered with Breitling and Hamilton to introduce an automatic chronograph. These projects were conducted in secret, as none of the competitors wanted the other companies to be aware of their efforts. Breitling Hamilton held press conferences in Geneva and New York, on March 3, 1969 to show their new lines of chronographs. Heuer's first automatic chronographs were the Ottavia, Carrera and Monaco. These were powered by the Cal 11 and Cal 12 movements. Cal 14 movement and the Cal 15 movement. The winding crown was on the left, with the pushes for the chronograph on the right. The earliest of Heuer's Cal 11 chronographs were named Chronomatic. In the early 1970s, Heuer expanded its line of automatic chronographs to include the Daytona, Montreal, Silverstone, Calculator, Monza and Jarama models, all powered by the Caliber 11 movement. 1970s. In 1975, Heuer introduced the Chronosplit, a digital chronograph with dual LED and LCD displays. Later versions featured 2 LCD displays. Heuer began using the Valjoux 7750 movement in its automatic chronographs, with the Kentucky and Pasadena models. The Valjoux 7750 movement was a 3-register chronograph, that also offered day/date windows. In the mid-1970s, Heuer introduced a series of chronographs powered by the LeMania 5100 movement. The LeMania 5100 movements have the minute hand for the chronograph on the center pinion, greatly improving legibility. The LVMH 5100 movement is considered very rugged and has been used in a variety of chronographs issued to military pilots. There are 10 models of her chronographs powered by the LVMH 5100 Euro reference 510.500, 510.501, 510.502, 510.503, 510.511, 510.523, as well as models with the names Silverstone and Cortina. The reference 510.543 was made for the AMI and a special edition was made for Audi Sport. 1980 Today, TAG Heuer formed in 1985 when TAG, manufacturers of high-tech items such as ceramic turbochargers for Formula One cars, acquired Heuer. In 1999 TAG Heuer accepted a bid from LVMH Moët Hennessy Louis Vuitton SA of SWFR 1.15 billion contingent upon a transfer of 50.1% of stocks. In 2010, TAG Heuer introduced the pendulum concept, the first magnetic oscillator without hairspring capable of providing restoring torque comparable to that of hairspring. In 2013, TAG Heuer celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Carrera, the racing-inspired chronograph that forms a key part of the TAG Heuer range today. There have been 10 generations of Carrera since its introduction, and models launched in every decade since 1963. Products, watches. TAG Heuer's current lines include Formula One, Aqua Razor, Link, Carrera, Monaco and Grand Carrera. TAG Heuer, in keeping with its image as a luxury brand with an innovative spirit, has long-standing links with the world of sport and Hollywood. TAG Heuer has been the official timekeeper of the 3 Summer Olympic Games of the 1920s, the Skiing World Championships, the Formula One World Championships, and has developed a watch for the McLaren F1 team. The brand has also had a long list of sports and Hollywood ambassadors. Some of the more recently announced models include the Monaco V4, the Carrera Caliber 360 and the Monaco 69. London-based Christophe Belling has been the lead designer for TAG Heuer since 2004. The collaboration has resulted in some of the brand's most celebrated pieces, including the world's fastest chronograph, the Micro Girder 1/2000, launched in 2012. 1. Chronographs. In January 2011 TAG Heuer announced the new Carrera micrograph, the first TAG Heuer to use the in-house micrograph movement, which is accurate to 1/100th of a second. Additionally, TAG Heuer has also released the limited edition Carrera MP4-12C to commemorate the launch of the McLaren MP4-12C supercar. TAG Heuer has been a partner of the McLaren F1 team for over 26 years. At the Basel 2011 show in March 2011, TAG Heuer announced the Micro Timer Flying 1000, a concept mechanical watch capable of accuracy of 1/1000th of a second, Euro 10 times faster than the micrograph. This mark was superseded in January 2012 with the Micro Girder model, precise to 5/10,000 ths of a second. Eyewear, mobile phones, fashion accessories. Moretz, France-based group logo manufactures TAG Heuer branded eyewear under a license acquired in 2002. Paris, France-based Mode Labs Group manufactures TAG Heuer branded mobile phone under license. Mode Labs acquired the license in late 2007 and marketed the first TAG Heuer branded mobile phone in late 2008. The company also markets a line of men's accessories including wallets, belts, bags, jackets, bracelets and cufflinks. Endorsements. TAG Heuer has paid numerous notable celebrities to endorse its products, including Ayrton Senna, Cristiano Ronaldo, Jessica Michelbata, Tiger Woods, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Chen Daoming, Jeff Gordon, Maria Sharapova, Juan Pablo Montoya, Khmer Currency Ica Paragraph Nen, Uma Thurman, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, Therese Johaug, Shah Rukh Khan, Deepika Padukone, Cameron Diaz, Steve McQueen and Walter White. Steve McQueen wore a blue Monaco in the 1971 movie, Le Mans, and Swiss Formula One star Joseph Oettcher customarily wore a white dialed Octavia with black registers. In 1974, Heuer produced a special version of the black-dialed Altavia that was offered by the Viceroy Cigarette Company, in a special promotion for $88. The Viceroy advertisements for this promotion featured racer Parnelly Jones. This version of the Altavia got to be called the Viceroy. Awards. In 2007, TAG Heuer won the IF Product Design Award for its Monaco Caliber 360 LS concept chronograph. The award was given away by the International Forum Design Hanover GmbH, held in Hanover, Germany. The watch received the award in the leisure lifestyle category. It was chosen among more than 2,200 timepieces presented by watchmakers from 35 countries. TAG Heuer received the IF Product Design Award for the second time in 2 years. In 2006, another TAG Heuer watch, entitled Professional Golf Watch, won in the same leisure lifestyle category. The design of the professional golf watch was developed with Tiger Woods. In 2010, the Carrera 1887 won La Petite Aiguille Award at the Grand Prix d'Euro unregistered trademark Horlogerie de Genève. Notes. External links, TAG Heuer Euro official site.